see if this is working. Always want to double check to see if this is good. All right. So, let's see. Let's give this a second. All right, people can hear me. Let me also share this into the xBloom Discord for funsies. Let's see if anybody wants to come through to there. Everyone, I am streaming a tasting of the roast level set. Come through for any questions. Come through to hang. Let's do that. All right, so this is going now. So what we're going to do today is we are going to taste some coffees together. And what this is this is a roast level tasting set that we've worked on with Bean and Bean. So we have this set. You can check it out on the in the link in this. But essentially, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brew these 3 coffees and give them a taste. So you have a bunch of different ways to brew. Obviously, you can cup the coffees. You can pull the coffees as espresso. But since we're doing this on xBloom, we might as well brew 3 pour-overs. And I think doing a comparative tasting is what is kind of like the most fun to do whenever we do any of these sort of releases. So let me go over the coffees real quick. So we have here, so when you get the tasting set, you get these 3 coffees. So this is the Kenya Yara AB washed. This is actually a really, really nice washed, clean Kenyan coffee. And it has, if you watch kind of the video that we have on the xBloom YouTube channel, and maybe I'll throw one up on this one from some fun behind the scenes. This is just a really nice, sweet Kenyan. It has really nice acidity, but as you roast it darker, it really changes. So we have all the different flavor notes. We have like our cards here. So I'll read off the flavor notes and we'll go ahead and brew and taste. And I'm pretty sure we will post a version of this video later on for people to watch. But the light roast has stone fruit, floral, and honey as a flavor note. The medium roast has raspberry, lime, cinnamon, and honey. And then the dark roast has dark chocolate, raisin, caramel, and is sweet. And I got these kind of reversed here. So light, medium, dark. And what you can do is you obviously can brew these by hand or use the recipe cards and all of that we give you. But I would say that you can use any sort of these more standard generic recipes and they'll work fantastic. And I'm curious who in the chat is from my Discord or YouTube channel versus the xBloom people, or there's probably a lot of overlap. But yeah, I'm just here to hang out and taste, and we don't have to make this super serious, but drop paper filters. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brew 3 cups of coffee using the Omni brewer, and then we can also grind up some of the coffees as well. And kind of, take a look at what the coffees look like. I would say that visually, the coffees will for sure look different, but it's a little bit easier to see once you grind the coffee, and especially smell them. So let's start with this. I'll just crack all these guys open. But it's really nice to be able to do a comparative tasting of a coffee. And when you get these nicer coffees, as you roast them differently or you roast them darker, they for sure have a different expression. But they hold up, right? Like you're starting, it's kind of like adding a different, it's like steak preferences, for example. So what I like to do is, just open them all up at the same time and then smell them. So this one is the light roast. Smells very floral, sweet. The medium roast, I get a bit more like milk chocolate. It does smell also very sweet, but less floral. And then the dark roast, you get really nice dark chocolate in this. Like this is like a dark chocolate bar. So it's kind of like the cacao percentages too in some of these, in chocolate, for example. I'm going to actually, let's see if I can take some of these coffees out for you to see, and then we'll go and brew them. But it's probably going to be hard to see on the stream, but you can just go and look at them when you get the set in. So might be a little bit hard to see between the medium, but if you look at the light versus the dark, you can definitely see, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but this is the light and this is the dark. So you can definitely see that there is a color difference, and you can see maybe there's almost a little bit of oils on the dark roast. The light roast is light, and then the medium is, well, somewhere in between. And the thing is when you start to brew and experience these coffees, that's really where the biggest differences will happen. So I'm just going to basically brew 3 cups and attempt to do this all with 1 xBloom. But we want to brew these all side by side and see what happens. So, and then yeah, that is the plan, and we'll give this give it a taste. And I'm just going to brew all of these on the Omni brewer. We also can do other fun stuff like brew tea and other things as well. But yeah, I would definitely suggest you try to do this all at once, because this will be the easiest for you to kind of be like, okay, I like light, medium, or dark roast, for example. And so we'll start with the light. For those of you brewing on Omni, do 15 grams. That's what we recommend. And then actually, maybe I'll grind this into, we'll just brew it directly. So I have, obviously you can have the recipes on the card, but I have the recipes on my phone. And we'll stick this in here. And we'll brew. Give this a smell. And these coffees are only about 2 weeks off roast. Pretty fresh. See if I can get other people to come through and hang out. Smells very floral. Honey is definitely like a note that I was always getting. Floral honey. This does also have a lot of those nice red fruit, expressive, like citrus, the Kenyan, strong wash Kenyan flavor profile. Very, very sweet smelling. You don't smell any sort of, I would say, like dark chocolate that you'll get out of the dark roast, of course. But we'll let that brew. It's going to be, we're going to be sitting here for a few minutes, letting these coffees kind of extract. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask me. It doesn't have a lot of tomato, but this is like, just an example of, here is a very standard, straightforward wash Kenyan coffee, which I think for a lot of people, like in today's world, I feel like we aren't getting as many of those, especially people on xBloom. Like, I'll tend to put out some more like expressive coffees, because it seems like most of the customer base likes a lot of the more processed coffees. Not to say like, we do a lot of processed coffees, but like, there is something for everyone right now, which is pretty fun. We just released a coffee, or we're releasing coffee later today, which is from Monta Coffee, and this is a lactic washed Sidra. So it is still washed, but it is pretty loud. And then we just released a coffee from Say, which is Kubi, washed Ethiopian. But yeah, we're gonna let this brew, and then I have 3 cups. You know, get 3 of the same cups if possible, so you can taste the coffee side by side. Obviously, if you're brewing them after one after another, the flavor profile is going to be, the temperature is going to be a little bit different. But what you want to do is just try to taste them as closely together as possible. And I think once these coffees really cool, that is where you will be able to experience the biggest differences. When coffee is hot, you can kind of think about it like a soup. It's too hot, you're gonna burn your tongue, you're gonna have a bad time. But once it cools down, these coffees will open up a lot more, and you will be able to perceive the flavors a lot better. On top of that, once these coffees cool, especially things like darker roast coffee, when it's hot, you don't really experience a lot of like that bitterness, and that's why like back in the day, you have a lot of people wanting to drink piping hot, dark roasted coffee. But once these coffees really cool down, that's where you'll be able to kind of experience, like, is the coffee falling apart? Is the roast level covering things up? What is good and bad with this? So I do think, even if you're brewing them side by side, letting them all cool down relatively to the same temperature is going to give you a really good idea of what you prefer. And I think that's what's the most fun about all of this. But yeah, we will go and brew the medium next, and then we'll brew the dark after. And that's the plan. I also definitely think with the light roast, you can push this in a bunch of different directions. It is a nice standard wash coffee, so you can brew it in your 1 to 15 to 1 to 17 range on the studio, and you will have a great time in terms of how the acidity is presented. All right. I am looking for things. What am I looking for? Oop, let me go. All right. So here is the light roast. Very sweet. Definitely has nice florality in it, honey. So I'll put this over here and I'll let it cool. We can give this a little stir, give this a little swirl. Definitely with these coffees, let them cool. Like letting the coffees cool is going to give you the most mileage in terms of experiencing the coffees. But I feel that most people will end up liking maybe something in between, maybe medium. A lot of the recent studies, and even things that we've done on xBloom, have always pointed towards people enjoying medium light. I also would say that these are all like coffees that are not they're not like super in one direction. Like this is just a good representation of light roast. This is a good representation of medium roast and dark roast, and so on and so forth, right? Like this isn't skewing towards like ultra light or ultra dark, but it gives you a good enough idea of like, do these coffees taste good? You also can pick this up from the Bean and Bean site as well. So they spent a lot of time working with us on this project, so I'm very happy to pull that off. This year, I definitely get more of that red fruit tomato. Before, I was getting more florals. This, I'm totally getting that classic Kenya washed flavor profile. Some people could say tomato, but it's kind of like there with a lot of this. It smells a bit heavier. Like this is really light and delicate. This is already 1 to 2 notches, like a little more, a bit heavier on the nose there. The recipes for these coffees are also quite similar, at least between these two. Actually, all 3 of them. The biggest difference is actually the temperature. So the way we've done the recipes for these 3 is really a change in temperature. So as we've gotten darker, you generally want to lower temperature or have like a declining in terms of temperature. And that will really help kind of make the coffees a little more round, a little more sweet, a little more palatable. But here's the light. I'll get ahead of myself and I'll taste the light roast. Smells nice. Floral. Honey is definitely something that I could perceive smelling as well. That's nice. Very sweet, very delicate on the tongue, much more tea-like of a body. Really nice sweetness. Not like super heavy honey. I mean, sugar, brown sugar is definitely something that I could say is on here, but round, sweet, floral. It does have nice acidity in there as well. Like this is a classic example of like, this is what a, good light roast is. And I think that's kind of like the fun stuff with like the fun thing with all of this is as you develop a coffee more and more, or really I want to say it's like most people's preferences are going to be like somewhere in this realm. Like you're going to, personally, like I really like this light roast. I like, coffees that are at least of this level, if not lighter. But I know a lot of people will really enjoy the dark, and you might want something a lot bolder. But what's nice about coffees like this is you can push them in different directions. Like, if we like this expression, but say we want more body, we can brew it at a different ratio, and it's very easy to do that with Studio. I'm a coal aficionado, yes. This dark roast honestly is really good. This is something where it's like if you haven't had, I think this is more relevant for those of you who are light roast drinkers, where a lot of you might not have had dark roast, a dark roast of a good coffee, if that makes sense. So a lot of times people are, when you do dark roast, it's generally because like you can cover things up, you can use lower quality greens, you're blending stuff and so on and so forth. What's been interesting is that when you take these nicer coffees like this and then you dark roast them, they actually hold up really well. And when we're talking like this is a dark roast, this is not even that dark. Like this is not charcoal, right? This is still, it is a little darker than the medium, and you definitely can tell versus the light. Like I'm going to try to take these out, and this is wrapping up here too. Might be hard to see here. I don't know if the camera will see it, but they look different, they smell different, they taste different. That's how it works when you're roasting coffees lighter and darker. Potato. Yes. All right. And then, actually, we'll top this off here. I only have so many of these small carafes. Actually, we can pour it into here. Gonna toss this out here. All right, this is the medium. Definitely, it definitely smells heavier. Like the body for sure, much heavier. Let that cool. And then we shall do the dark roast. I need a little bit more water in the machine. So this is what I would recommend is, try to do it all back to back. So you can kind of experience the differences. But even if you look at the colors, might be hard to see here, you can already see that the medium visually is a little darker. Is this like the tried and true way to tell? Not necessarily, but the very basic thing for a lot of people is, oh, look at the color. Light roast is literally lighter. And that also holds true to an extent with brewed coffee. So yeah. The level of chaff is quite different between the two. Medium and dark, so that also depends on coffee. But we don't really have that much chaff on medium. Like even on light, there's like a little, well, not really on these specific beans. But broadly speaking, when you get darker, I haven't really experienced a lot of chaff on any of these coffees. Whoop. And then finally, let's brew the dark roast. So I'm gonna put the medium actually into this carafe, then give this a little rinse. So the nice thing is, if you ever want instant heat, pretty straightforward. You can just run this on here. And then let's do dark now. So dark is interesting. I think this is a good example of a strong dark roast. But I'll taste the medium in a little. But I think this is what I would personally classify, especially for those of you who are hardcore light roast drinkers and you don't ever touch any of the dark roast coffees. I think this is a very, very strong dark roast. Maybe not super strong in the terms of pain, but it is a really approachable and palatable dark roast. It's like, this was what I was mentioning earlier, is a lot of times your experience with dark roast might be with lower quality coffees. But here we go. Let's run this guy, and then we'll taste all of them side by side. But all of these are very similar. It's just the temperature. The temperature is the biggest difference between each of these recipes. So this is brewed, I think, 93 Celsius, 91, and then 88. So we've dropped 2 to 4-ish Celsius, that's about like a 10 to 15 degree Fahrenheit drop across the roast levels. This is also kind of the same way you can approach brewing more processed coffees, is using a lower temperature. Definitely dark chocolate, much bolder, stronger presentation. All of these are all brewed at 1 to 16 ratio, by the way. So I'm trying to keep things relatively the same. The biggest difference is going to be the actual roast level that's playing an impact here. What am I brewing in Houston? I don't know yet. That is I will figure that out when we get to Houston. But here is the medium. Smells really nice. It has actually a much heavier acidity. Then it goes into this caramel, milk chocolate. I know on this it says raspberry, lime, cinnamon. So whereas the light roast, that's interesting, where it's this light roast has this structure of acidity. It's very delicate. It's very sweet. It's very tea-like and floral. This is much louder. Has a much more defined acidity, but after that acidity, we get a lot of more chocolate. This doesn't have any chocolate at all. This has a lot more of the florals, the tea-like effect, honey, long linger of sweetness. This is where we're getting some milk chocolate. We're getting maybe some cinnamon, some more there's this, yes, it's more defined, and I would say the acidity in this is very loud compared to this, but everything after the acidity is this nice, approachable, sweet chocolate, whereas this doesn't have that. And that's really like, you know, a difference between like a medium light versus a light, and so on and so forth. Whereas this dark smells like way out there compared to these two. Is it way out there in terms of roast level? Not exactly, but after you get to a certain point, you're going to really start to experience a lot more of the chocolate. So this is like floral, like basically there's like an inverse relationship where it's like there is more clarity and definition of acidity, maybe not even definition of acidity, but like delicate notes. And as you get darker, you get more body, you get things are more developed, you lose some of that acidity in exchange for, I would say, like chocolate and a lot of those more like brown notes. Also, one thing to note when you are brewing the dark versus the medium versus the light is that the darker roast is going to have a lot more bubbles in brewing. A lot more gas is going to appear in the bed when you're brewing this. There's going to be more volume. So that's also why when you're brewing, you want to compensate for that with longer time, coarser grind, and all of that. But this is now wrapping up, and we will taste all of these side by side and see what happens. But this is actually quite a lot of coffee when you think about it. Like you get three bags of coffee, and you get to taste them all side by side. It's super fun. It's like honestly just so much fun to do this. Give this a smell. Definitely much bolder, dark chocolate, like chocolate bar. I'm just going to pour this in here. So a lot of times people drink this like piping hot. I would suggest you let it cool. But of the brewed coffee, so here is the dark. I'm using the same glass for all of these. This is the medium. You can definitely see there's a color difference if I hold it up to my light that I have here. You can see the dark is definitely a bit darker, yes. And this is a very clear difference. Like this is clearer looking than this. So, your light versus dark. Again, is this a way for you to, is this like the correct method of determining roast level? Not exactly, but, to drastically oversimplify, color differences can help. And the color differences in the unroasted, the roasted coffee to the ground coffee to the brewed coffee, there is for sure a color difference between these three. And these are all brewed at the same ratio as well. So we're not changing the exact concentration. Although what happens is there are some differences in like how easy some of these coffees are to extract. So the darker coffees are generally a bit easier to extract. So that's why we lower the temperature as well to compensate and make them taste better, if that makes sense. Like if you brewed the dark roast on the light roast recipe, it probably wouldn't taste good. But let's give these all a taste now. So I'll give the medium a little bit of a taste now that it's cooled down. And feel free to check back on this video later on if you have any sort of questions. And this is more for the xBloom people. How do these coffees taste? What's different? Okay. So I need to let this dark roast cool down a bit, but what's fun about this is you can see how the coffee is transforming across the roast levels. So I'm going to tell you what I experienced. So here's the light roast. Very floral, delicate, much more transparent presentation of acidity. I would say that this has like citrus, stone fruit, some red fruit in there, but it has this really nice honey linger on my palate. Round, floral, sweet, low on the body, very tea-like, very delicate, as I was saying. Medium roast. Much louder, I would say, like raspberry, lime, citrus acidity. Then it goes into a lot of, I would say, milk chocolate. It's a sweet chocolate, but we're starting to taste some like brown sugars. I guess honey as well, but a heavier honey, like maybe a higher concentration of honey. And it has a much heavier linger on the palate. And then it finishes nice and clean. This coffee is a very clean coffee, so you're not really tasting any sort of like roughness or harshness because of the coffee. And then finally, this is the dark roast, which I brewed a little bit earlier. It's a little bit hotter. So instead of it being acidity forward or floral and sweetness forward like these two, this is chocolate forward. It's more of the body that is forward. So I get a lot of dark chocolate. I then get acidity underneath, and then it has this very bold honey. Like there's this honey effect that has happened across all three of these roast levels. And that's there. Is it harsh? It's not really that harsh, but it does have the bolder, stronger attributes that a dark roast has. And this is still really, really good. Like this is a coffee. It does have the Kenyan attributes in there, but it's underneath this the chocolate, if that makes sense. Whereas like this has, it's like again inverse relationship. Like as we go darker, we get more body. We lose some of that the florals and the acidity. But because the coffee is a high quality coffee, we still get a lot of those attributes that are still like in the cup, like from the coffee, right? We still get some of these attributes in here, and that's what makes this really enjoyable. Is like it's kind of like if you've had a higher percentage dark chocolate, chocolate bar, where it's like, yes, you can get some of that fruit in the dark chocolate, but you might still really, really like dark chocolate, right? So that's kind of like what I'm experiencing right now. We can give these coffees a little more time to cool. But I think that really this video or stream is really for people who pick this set up, and it's there for people to taste. But yeah, I don't know if anyone has any questions so far. And I also don't know how many people are going to be doing this side by side. But we wanted to do this stream today because for those of you who ordered the first set, it now, it takes time for people to get these coffees. And we didn't want to do it like, oh, you're going to, we're doing this before you get the set in. But I would say that for these coffees, for the light roast, you can let this rest for a fair bit longer. Even the dark roast, like honestly, these coffees, like if you rest them at least 3, even 4 weeks, they'll taste good. Like even the dark roast here, which is surprising, I think. So I'm about 2 weeks off roast, and I feel like this light roast will open up even more. I'll have more acidity, and this still has a lot of, like all of these coffees I think will really open up in like the next 2, even 3 weeks off roast, like basically 3 to 5 weeks, I would say. So yeah, but I think that covers most of what I wanted to show off today, which is just like, let's brew all these coffees together side by side, give them a taste, and see what's up. My personal favorite, I think, is the light roast. It has a lot of just really nice delicacies, but I see an argument for each of these coffees, and I think these coffees, like the presentation of this coffee is really strong across each of these roast levels, and that's really coming back to the sourcing and roasting of Bean and Bean, where it's like, oh great, they have a really, really great coffee, it's roasted well, and it's a coffee that holds up across these different roast levels. So that's why we spent this time to pull this collaboration off, and kind of you know, get this out there for you all to taste. But it is available on the xBloom website. It's also available on the Bean and Bean website. So, you know, feel free to check out everybody's websites and, you know, pick up these coffees. Just got the xBloom Studio today. I'm going to do the tea. Yeah, so I have the tea brewer. I think maybe we'll do we'll do some of these live streams on the xBloom Instagram. I have some videos that I'm trying to upload on the xBloom YouTube channel, especially on tea. The one that I've been playing, so I got all the teas here. So I have I got a lot of teas here. I got the Passenger teas. I have the Verve Cascara. I've been brewing this Jade tea a lot. Been very, very tasty. But what's been really fun is brewing this Cascara. I wanted to be on for another. I'll be on for another 20 minutes. Here, let's brew Cascara for fun. Or we'll brew one of these teas. But I got the tea brewer here, and you know, as much as like people like the app, and you know, you can use the app for everything. I find brewing tea manually to be like the most enjoyable on this machine. So we'll do a little tea session, I guess, after we've consumed all this coffee. And then maybe we'll come back and taste the coffees. So I got the tea brewer. This JT has been pretty good. It's actually one of our top sellers. A lot of people have been really liking this. I saw some comments from people who were brewing this earlier, and some people were like, "Oh, it's a little too weak." But I tasted it with the recipe that Passenger made, and I was like, "This is fine." And then I pushed the tea a bit harder, although I'm like not a tea expert in any regards. Like it turned out a little, you know, maybe more floral, but it's you know, very tasty as well. But like this is a good tea. We have China breakfast. We have a oolong, black, and a green. We're also going to be doing some hibiscus teas for Mother's Day. So I think that's coming up soon for those of you who are coming through for the xBloom stuff. Let me actually dump out one of these. I will be back real quick. I have lots of containers I'm going to pour stuff into. But yeah, after you drink a lot of coffee, it is fun to switch over to tea. And I've been brewing this Jade, which has been pretty good. It's just like, if you come from Coffee World and you look at some of these teas, I feel like, you know, they're not, the flavor notes are very normal. Like, you know, they're not like high acidity or florality. I mean, I guess, you know, I'm kind of speaking not for all coffee consumers, but yeah, let's see. I was going to do Cascara. I actually really like this Cascara. This Cascara is very tasty. But how about we do, actually, I'm just going to keep brewing this Jade. I was brewing this Jade last night. It was great. So you can pick this up on the website. It's like here, hard to see, but I've just been doing 5 grams. Actually, 3 to 5 is pretty good, but let's do 5. Put in a little more. And there is a recipe on the app. If you want to use the tea recipes, you can on here. So it'll switch this guy into this I don't know if you guys can see this, but into this tea mode. You know, this is fun, right? But I think I really enjoy doing this manually. It's very enjoyable. It's just fun to brew this manually. So, yeah, I'll just set this to the max, and we will brew some tea. But we're going to do some hibiscus tea, some like other fun stuff for Mother's Day. So I like to steep about 90 to 100. You know, let that sit there for a minute or two, and then keep going. But let's do that. Actually, let me turn this off. So, you know, we'll let that just sit there, and with this jade tea, you'll start to see the leaves kind of open up, and that's what's fun. You know, you can of course agitate, give it a little shake. I know a lot of the tea drinkers, like, you won't drink the first like wash, especially with this stuff, but I think it tastes fine. Like, or like for me, what I will do is, you know, we'll taste the first steep, and then you'll steep it again, you'll taste the second steep, so on and so forth. Or what you can do is you can combine all of the layers. It's kind of like pour over, like where each of the times we add water, it extracts like a different type of flavor. And then when you combine them all together, it tastes a certain way. But for me, who's, you know, I would say like I have a coffee palate, I feel that the tea on here, especially when we start to brew with the layers, at least when I try to think about this, you know, it all gets mixed together. And when you have the higher quality tea like this, this jade, it's tasting pretty good, especially when we mix everything together. But yeah, we need to let these teas steep for a bit. But I'll just hit the first steep here, because now the leaves are opening up, and you can see there the siphon is triggering. Everything's going down there, and we can see that there is. It might be hard to see on the stream here, but like the you know, the tea is in there. And then what you can do, and this happens in the app, is you give it a little shake at the end. You know, do that in the app. And then now, this is really where, oops. This is really where, actually, let me taste this guy. Let me taste this first steep. Because this is where, you know, things are going to start to taste good. And my carafe is very big. I'm using the Ecosa Brewhouse carafe, which is, you know, a big boy carafe. But you can see this is just the first layer, and we're already seeing some color here. Like, I don't really have a tea palate, but, you know, I think it's always worthwhile to like taste the first steep just to see like what's going on, right? Like what exists in the, you know, in the cup. And let's give it some more. And now the leaves, I'll pull it out, well, maybe I'll pull out after. The leaves have really started to expand. They've absorbed the water. So when you're doing this manually, just like keep in mind that the volume will change a little because of the water you add, depending on tea leaf, of course. But I like to do multiple 90 ml steeps, and then, you know, let's let this sit here for a minute or two. But this is that first steep we have. We can kind of combine the different layers together. Like, I think that tastes fine. I know people who have a much stronger palate for tea. You probably won't like that very first steep, but it feels like with these stronger, you know, these higher quality teas, it's like you might as well taste the first steep, right? Is like it feel like, to me it feels kind of wasteful to just like throw that away, but I don't know. So we'll let this one steep now. And I've been liking around 2-minute steeps, or 1 to 2 minute steeps. I know for some people, people want a much stronger tea. Like, this definitely also feels like preferences where, you know, I think a lot of people like intensity. I find these teas to taste pretty nice when they are very delicate. It's like if I want the more intense stuff, that's what I have coffee for. And then this is now I'm gonna do the second steep. I really find this tea to really open up after the third and even fourth steep. But we're combining the things together here, like the layers, and I think that's what makes this tea taste really good. So I'll let this one fully drain through, give it a little shake, because this is a mechanical mechanism, so you do want to make sure the liquid is drained through so the siphon doesn't trigger again when you add more liquid in there. But as you see here, I'm going to pull this off and then I'll brew more. You can see the leaves have really, really expanded. So they're very small, like it's really opened up. I was adding those little small, like the dried leaves in there before. But I'll give this a taste too. See, the colors really started to develop, and then I'll add a third steep. Definitely more intense, more floral. Vanilla sweetness is a note that they have on here. I totally get that. Yeah, it's just a really tasty tea, but it's like, you can be doing this. You can kind of just be doing this at your desk, or if you wanted to do this manually, you do what I'm doing, and you can have a little fun tea session with your xBloom. So that's kind of like something that we've been playing around with. Personally, I like to just throw the tea in and then hit the button, and I come back to a nice tea. But there are other things now, especially for those of you who like iced teas, milk teas, and so on and so forth. There's a lot that you can do with a tea steeper, and I think it's really fun. So like, for example, like the other day, at least with the cascara, we have a cascara recipe. You can make put this over ice. It tastes great. Tea, you can add milk into it. You could do like a lot of just fun things with tea. But yeah, I'll taste this and then I'll end the stream. So kind of side noted, but we wanted to just like other fun stuff in this world. But we're going to have a hibiscus tea coming out soon, sometimes for Mother's Day, so that should be fun. And here we go. Let this. So I have about 350, 360 mils in here. So that's 3 steeps. It's about 120 mils each layer. And we're brewing for about 5 to 7 minutes. So you can take 10 minutes out of your time, 10 minutes out of your day, 10 to 15 minutes, and you can have a really nice tea session. Or you can program all of this, of course, and you can just come back to tea like this. But I find tasting the layers to be very fun, mixing everything together to be very fun. That's it's a very different type of enjoyment out of a beverage than coffee, which is one and done. You got to make sure your recipe's dialed in. This is more like you can have a fun little tea session like this. This tea is really nice. Very rose-like, sweet, clean. Yeah, this is a nice tea. It actually really reminds me of this coffee here, which is the light roast of this. So let's go back and give these guys a little bit of a taste. Yeah, these teas are it's like a light roast tea, if that makes sense. Very sweet, very floral. Really, really nice. Stone fruit acidity, the medium. Raspberry, lime, milk chocolate. Everything's heavier, louder. It's got this nice linger on my palate. And then this is the dark roast, which is dark chocolate forward. Nice, I would say also stone fruit acidity, but underneath this dark chocolate. So, yeah, that's kind of like the fun stuff that we've been working on here at xBloom, and I I don't know. I'll probably put a bunch of these videos on the xBloom channel, and then I have a lot of other videos that will come out soon on my YouTube channel. Speaking of Bean and Bean, there's going to be a Peru tasting set that we're going to be releasing. So just like as a collab. Maybe I'll put that on xBloom. I'm not entirely sure, but that will be there. So there'll be a Peru Cup of Excellence coffee with 2 other really nice wash Peruvian Bourbons. And then that's pretty fun. And then if you want to get this, you can also get this on the Bean and Bean site, or you can get it on the xBloom site. You know, pretty fun. And then for those of you who are xBloom users, tea is good, and we're gonna be doing some like fun hibiscus teas. Some stuff is coming out probably end of next week for Mother's Day, and I think that'll be a lot of fun for those of you who are looking to pick up a machine and looking to have more like festivities and all of that. But yeah, that's all for today. You know, we can do some more streams for those of you who are coming from xBloom land, and yeah, but tea is like, you know, you just like put, the nice thing about this is you just put everything in and you hit the button, or you send the recipe over and then it works out. But yeah, okay, that is all I have for today. If you have any questions, that's what the xBloom Discord is for. I think I don't know if I linked the right Discord. It might be my Discord, but there's a lot of overlap between a lot of the things that I do and this world of this stuff. So yeah, if you have any questions, you know, hit us up, hit xBloom up, or hit me up, and yeah, the link is the BQ Discord. Oh, that's okay. We're streaming on this YouTube channel because the xBloom YouTube channel needs some like Google verification or something. Like I streamed on that channel before and it was working fine, and then like Google did some stuff, so now we're on now this is the YouTube channel. But yeah, all right. Thank you guys so much for spending time to watch this stream and tasting the coffees with me. And you know, we did a little tea session at the end. I think this is so much fun. If you guys have any questions, you know, let us know. But otherwise, thank you guys so much, and we will see you later. Goodbye.